we will learn what dilution is. When I started out, I asked 10 people, 10,000 people, what is dilution? I got a different answer every time. And it's actually the easiest thing around. In your Discord that I hope you are using, you will find guides from me, poorly drawn, but useful nonetheless. And it's not very visible here, so maybe I'll draw a new one. So let's try it out. What is dilution? Hey Pat. Yes? What's dilution? Well, I'm trying to talk about it. Weirdo. What type of course is this? Here we go. GTHP is a company like any other, and they have decided to split their company into 1 billion pieces. There are 1 billion pieces of GTHP just hanging around. The outstanding shares are shares that they have given to various parties, and we'll get into that. And the float, and we don't even have a float here, so why don't we try a different one? This is good. One more time. This is even better. BYOC is in 1.1 billion pieces. And the outstanding shares are shares that have been issued to various people. They're out there. Why are they issuing shares to people? Well, there's a variety of reasons, but the largest reason of all is to service debt. So, once upon a time, my company was split into 1.1 billion pieces and I had no debt. And since then, I've issued 1.013 billion of them to various parties. And those various parties will be selling at their leisure. I issue my shares to these parties to service debt, to run my company. I'm trying to get my company off the ground. I've become publicly traded so that I may raise capital to grow my company. So my issuing these shares is a way for me to pay people and entities that assist me along my way, whether they lend me cash, whether they provide me services, or anything of that nature, who then in turn may sell. Now, why is this important to us? It's important to us because you and I, we do not trade the AS. We do not trade the OS. The float or public float are the shares that are being traded every single day. From me to you, you buy from me, I buy from you. These are the floating shares. These are the shares of the company that are out there in retail, which is you and I, regular people, accounts. So if you haven't closed in on it yet, the only way for these debt holders to capitalize on these shares and receive payment for their services or whatever they've provided to the company, maybe the CEO is a secret family. Well, the secret family needs to pay the mortgage as well. So how do they get money out of these shares? They sell them to you and I. They sell them to you and I. And as these shares are sold from the outstanding shares, they were not publicly available before, to the float into retail traders, the price per share or the quality per share is now diluted. It's like if humans could only subsist on apples and there were only 1,000 apples on earth, each apple would be worth a hell of a lot, would it not? So if the Earth's float of apples, which is the only thing that humans can survive on, is 1,000, the demand for apples is here. Apple demand. It's very high. Now let's say an alien came from outer space and rained down on Earth another million apples. Then your apple supply would have gone up and apple demand would have gone down. Therefore, by selling shares from the outstanding shares into the float, each share has less value. This is dilution. The value is literally being diluted. But how do I know if a stock is being diluted? Once you see it, you will always know. I'm going to zoom in real close. And I'm going to show you a stock. And you're going to look at it. And we're going to do a lot on charting. Don't you worry about a thing. There's a lot to come. We're just going to take a quick look at what dilution is all about on a chart. And my chart is set to 30-minute candles. Each candle represents 30 minutes of trade in action. Now I'm going to set my candles to 1 day. So each candle represents 1 day in the market. And you can see that at the moment, this chart is covering from August to present. Yes? Well, let's scroll out a little bit. Now we're back to June. Now we're back to April. Now we're back to February. And now we are back to only the start of 2018. And we see limited supply and extraordinary demand. But in time, we see increasing supply with incredible growth in volume and falling demand. You can see dilution on your chart. You can literally draw dilution on your chart. How about that? Demand, supply, dilution. You did it. Maybe you already did it and you're saying, can I move on? Well, it's my video. There is dilution.